It's no secret that Star Wars has been on shaky ground for the last decade, with many arguing that Lucasfilm and Disney bungled the franchise right out of the gate, producing a trilogy of films that lacked a cohesive vision and ultimately left the fan base divided and disillusioned. Cut to The Mandalorian. Against all odds, the series managed to shock the franchise back to life, and both fans and critics quickly rallied around its mysterious gunslinging protagonist and his adorable sidekick. Its Season 2 finale left viewers waiting with bated breath to see what came next. Unfortunately, that was Book of Boba Fett, and it seems the brand as a whole has struggled to recuperate from the disappointments of that series and The Mandalorian's underwhelming third season, as well as the subsequent barrage of content that bowed to equally mixed results. While the lauded success of Andor, a dark and serious take on Star Wars, brought many back into the fold, it clearly did not represent the direction Lucasfilm heads were steering the ship. So here we are. Star Wars is back on the big screen for the first time in nearly 7 years with The Mandalorian and Grogu, and everyone is asking, was it worth the wait? No, it wasn't. But I'm not so sure that this is what we're meant to be waiting for in the first place. Let's start with the positives. Tonally, the film is evocative of The Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi in its sense of whimsy, which I recognize is not a positive for everyone, and showcases a blend of spectacular puppetry and Disney standard computer-generated effects. However, it is Ludwig Göransson's music that stands as the highlight of the film, the composer stepping even further away from John Williams and the television series' Western-leaning sound toward a much more synthwave score. Although some fans might find this to be too much of a departure, I thought the music was both refreshing and fitting for the environments we visit. However, this brings me to one of its fundamental faults: the weak story. While I recognize the framework of an old Saturday matinee sci-fi cliffhanger, the tale of Mando and Grogu's quest to save Jabba the Hutt's son simply lacks the stakes and gravitas to carry and justify a 2-hour-plus film. This seemingly pointless excursion could be forgiven if it were merely propping up a strong, character-driven narrative. But, alas, even in this category, the film misses the mark. Perhaps its biggest problem is that neither Mando nor Grogu grow as characters, and that it seems uninterested in saying anything new about our heroes or the galaxy around them. Without a worthy story and meaningful arcs, it all feels hollow and rote in its interpretation of the Star Wars mythos. And I never reached a point where I was brought to the edge of my seat or truly believed that any of our main players were in mortal danger. What's more, director and co-writer Jon Favreau's natural charm and flair for humor is mostly absent, save for some easy goo-goo gaga gags from a mischievous Grogu. And the entire production appears to lack passion. Pedro Pascal shows up just once in person, and Jeremy Allen White probably recorded his lines in an afternoon. Sigourney Weaver's involvement is a classic example of soulless Hollywood stunt casting. Handed flat expositional dialogue, the veteran star looked and sounded bored throughout her limited screen time, as if she didn't know where she was or what she was saying. Surprisingly, only Martin Scorsese injects his very minor character with some semblance of liveliness. Overall, the writing is workmanlike, with each set piece setting up the next. Although sometimes punctuated by dull and drawn-out pauses, the film never allows us to invest in our hero's plight beyond laser blasts and explosions. Noticeably, the film lacks the grit of the first season, and while it is staunchly aimed at the lucrative family market, it wouldn't be unfair to label it as an out-and-out children's movie. Because unlike many previous entries in the franchise, I'm not sure how much fun the adults are going to have here, unless Grogu's antics are enough to satiate you. But putting all of my grievances aside, I must also ask, is The Mandalorian and Grogu a film meant for analysis? Does any of this really matter? It's clear now that the film only exists to cash in on any goodwill remaining from the first 2 seasons, and perhaps to even recoup some costs from other failed endeavors. I get the sense that it was never intended to break new ground or become the birth of a new era of Star Wars. In fact, perhaps the only real criticism you can launch at Lucasfilm is the timing of its release, not only because it feels like too little too late for the Mando property, but it is a poor vehicle for the Star Wars brand's cinematic comeback, which, whether they like it or not, it is. If anything, this should have gone straight to Disney+, and from that vantage point, it would have certainly been more well received, although the issue of having nothing to say and nowhere to go would no doubt stand. Regardless, I'm sure its streaming debut isn't far off. But putting on my optimist's hat, shows like Andor and Maul Shadowlord, along with the promise of Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter coming next year, lend a brighter outlook for the future. My only hope, pun intended, is that newly christened Lucasfilm president Dave Filoni, who gave himself no less than 2 shameless cameos by the way, will listen to his creatives, and above all else, allow writers and directors to bring personality back to Star Wars. So let me know what you think about The Mandalorian and Grogu. Is it harmless fun, or a step in the wrong direction? As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and click like below and feel free to share. And don't forget to find me on Patreon at /LaytonEversol, where you'll gain early access to my channel's content and more. And of course, if you want to see more videos just like this one, go ahead and click subscribe.